video number 80, which means there's only 11 after this, I think, or 10. I just finished writing out Proverbs 31 yesterday, and it's a little bit longer than just a few videos. Anyway, the wicked flee when no person pursues them, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. Guilty criminals deal with paranoia, even if they look calm, even when there's no threat. They're always fleeing, going to the next place, going to the next place. They're not at rest or at peace. But those who love God, who have no fear because they have made wise choices, and are living currently in a right state and in a right standing with God, even if they've failed before, if they're back into that right accepted position with the Lord, accepted forgiveness, stopped their immoral behavior, and are living well with the Lord and with others, they have the boldness and the confidence of a lion. And you know that the lion is the king of the jungle, and a lion is like the boss, the king. So the righteous who are content in their ways with God are able to pursue those and stand up for the kingdom of God and help usher others into the kingdom of God. If a nation or a location, city, community, town, state, rebels, there's an increase in the number of rulers to help manage the chaos. And perhaps leaders will come and go as they feel threatened or worn out, or like they are, or sometimes they feel like they aren't actually making a difference. And rather, if there's an intelligent, wise, godly ruler, lasting order can be achieved, and law and order and peace and justice can return to the land and can be sustained. And you don't need a multitude of rulers or judges at the moment, because there's peace in the land. But when there's a whole lot of chaos, you got to have a lot of appointed judges to help deal with all the ungodliness, really. And that's why revival is so important, because when true revival comes, there's been stories of how jails empty out, hospitals don't have as much work to do at all. Crime obviously goes way down low because there's peace and there's justice and there's morale. But when the enemy is reigning hard and causing a lot of chaos, and jails are being overpopulated, hospitals are being overpopulated, and crime is obviously up and injustice is soaring. So we need wise, intelligent, and godly leaders to help bring and establish righteous ways to a land, community, state, nation, etc. Verse 3, when a corrupt judge or a pauper or a poor person or a spiritual destitute person oppresses the poor and others, don't oppress the poor. It's like a sweeping rain, like a flash flood that may cause mudslides, which causes more damage, yet leaves no good. Similarly, the injustice and the oppression of the poor takes away the hope of the poor. Verse 4, those that forsake the law praise the wicked, willingly or unwillingly. If they forsake the law, they're adding to the wickedness. But those that keep the law, or the instructions of God, contend against them that don't keep them, that do not keep the law. So those that keep the law are obviously making it known that it is to be kept, and therefore they contend with those that don't keep the law. It's a battle as those that reject what is good and live lawless lives, try to resist more laws. It's a battle for those that keep the law to uphold the law. So you got both sides kind of warring against the law, really. So, in order to keep the law and establish justice and peace and sobriety in the land, you need a lot more people that are fulfilling the law and minimizing the people that are trying to rebel against the law. And the law can also be substituted as godly living, the instructions of the Lord, the character of the Lord. Evil, because the character of the Lord isn't going to do anything that harms people. And that's why laws are made, in order to prevent harm and chaos. But if you have people that are in tune with the Lord and love God with all their heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love their neighbor as themselves, they don't need all these, X amount of laws, because they're genuinely going to be loving and not causing harm. Verse 5, evil, ungodly, unrighteous persons, those who haven't accepted the forgiveness of Jesus, and therefore those who will not forgive others, they do not understand justice. But those that seek the Lord understand justice and all things. Better is the poor that walks in his uprightness than they that are perverse in their ways, even if they're rich. Whosoever keeps the law is a wise son or daughter or person, not just human laws, but God's laws, God's instructions and commands and decrees. This wise son or daughter or person makes their parents and their families glad. But to keep companions and socialize and hang out with rioters and lawless persons and godless persons brings shame to your family and to your other brothers and sisters and to your parents. 28 verse 8, those that are by usury and unjust gain increase their wealth and substance and possessions. They shall gather it for those that will have pity on the poor. Sometimes it's been said that those that become rich unjustly will eventually become poor, and the riches that they did receive would be distributed to those who are actually giving to the poor and using the money rightly. Chapter 28, verse 9, those that turn away from hearing the law, the truth, so they don't get to know or understand it, shall have their prayers be an abomination unto the Lord. For they don't even know the Lord, because they refuse to hear the Lord and the ways of the Lord and the character of the Lord and the instructions of the Lord. So if you want to have your prayers refused, you refuse to get to know God by not reading or hearing about his ways of life. Just like if I refused to get to know this person, I refuse to hear their stories, I refuse to listen to what they're saying to me, then they're not going to listen to what I say or do what I'm asking them to do. And it's pretty much the same with the Lord. So, continue to get to know the Lord. Continue watching the Proverbs. Share the Proverb videos with others. And understand that the Lord is about righteousness, peace, and joy. He's about faithfulness, justice, and judgment. And that he loves, because he is love.